Your words are either building your future or destroying your chances. If you don't learn how to speak with clarity, confidence, and purpose, someone else will speak for you. Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that the true measure of their influence is not in what they say, but in how they say it. The words we speak are more than sounds. They are signals of our inner power, reflections of our mindset, and tools to shape our destiny. Today, I want to take you beyond mere conversation. I want to lead you into the psychology behind words, the invisible thread that connects our speech to our success. Because let me tell you, every successful leader, every powerful thinker, every great visionary, from Abraham Lincoln to Martin Luther King, from Steve Jobs to Napoleon Hill, did not just speak. They communicated with purpose, clarity, and conviction. We live in a world where the loudest voice is not the strongest. The most powerful communicator is not the one who speaks the most, but the one who speaks with intent, insight, and impact. If you're ready to unlock the hidden force that turns ordinary talk into extraordinary influence, if you're ready to master the psychology of communication, not just to impress, but to inspire, then let's begin a journey, not just to speak smarter, but to think sharper, lead bolder, and live greater. Because remember this, words are the currency of your future. Learn to spend them wisely. Throughout history, the most influential individuals were not always the wealthiest, the strongest, or the loudest. They were the ones who understood the immense power of words. Speaking to influence, not merely to impress, is a discipline that goes far beyond vocabulary and grammar. It's a conscious decision to communicate with purpose, precision, and psychological impact. Every word you speak carries energy. That energy either builds bridges or burns them. It either creates trust or sows doubt. And in a world overflowing with noise, those who learn how to speak meaningfully and deliberately will always rise above the crowd. The art of influential speaking begins with intention. Before the words even form on your tongue, the question must arise, what outcome do I desire from this conversation? The answer to that question shapes not only your words, but your tone, your timing, and your body language. People who speak to influence are not reactive. They are strategic. They don't talk just to be heard. They speak to connect, to lead, and to transform perspectives. The most persuasive communicators tailor their message to the emotions and needs of their audience. They focus less on showing how much they know and more on creating value through their message. When someone speaks just to impress, their words are dressed in ego. They want to sound intelligent, polished, dominant, but often that desire backfires. Why? Because people don't connect with perfection. They connect with authenticity. Speaking to influence means being real, not rehearsed. It means speaking from experience, not just theory. It means having the humility to be understood rather than the pride of being admired. True influence isn't measured by applause. It's measured by impact. The shift in thinking, the change in behavior, the spark of motivation you ignite in others. Influential speakers understand the power of simplicity. They avoid jargon and complicated expressions. They speak in a way that resonates deeply and is easy to remember. The most powerful messages in history, think of Martin Luther King's "I have a dream," or Kennedy's "Ask not what your country can do for you," were simple yet profoundly impactful. Simplicity doesn't weaken your message. It strengthens your audience's ability to absorb and apply it. Another critical element is listening. Most people assume speaking well is about projecting your voice or crafting the perfect sentence. But influential communication is a two-way process. Great communicators listen more than they speak. They tune into the emotional frequency of their listener. They read between the lines. They respond, not react. And when they do speak, it's with clarity and calm conviction, because they have first understood what truly matters to the other person. The psychology of influence also teaches us that people remember how you made them feel far more than the words you used. That's why tone and intention are everything. A confident voice, paired with genuine empathy and belief in your message, cuts through resistance. It builds rapport. It cultivates trust. People lean into voices that carry sincerity and assurance. They pull away from voices that reek of performance or manipulation. One of the core principles Napoleon Hill emphasized in his teachings was the ability to control your mind before you attempt to influence others. If your mind is cluttered, your speech will be scattered. But if your thoughts are disciplined, your words will carry weight. Speaking to influence requires mental clarity, emotional stability, and a sincere desire to uplift others through communication. It's not about dominating the conversation, but directing it toward positive change. Emotional intelligence is the secret ingredient behind every powerful conversation. It is the invisible force that guides how we perceive, understand, and manage our emotions and the emotions of others. When you master emotional intelligence, you no longer speak just with your mouth, you speak with your presence. You begin to sense the unsaid, feel the invisible, and respond not just to words, but to the meaning behind them. People with high emotional intelligence don't just communicate, they connect. They create a space where others feel heard, understood, and valued. And in that space, real influence is born. When someone lacks emotional intelligence, their speech often feels hollow or forced. They might say the right things, but the impact is missing. That's because effective communication isn't only about speaking clearly, it's about aligning your words with empathy, timing, and emotional awareness. Emotional intelligence allows you to choose the right words for the right moment. It helps you regulate your tone when tension rises, and it gives you the power to remain calm when others are losing control. This control doesn't make you robotic, it makes you effective, because while others react, you respond with intention. At the core of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. Great communicators know themselves well. They recognize their own emotional triggers and understand how their mood influences their message. When you are self-aware, you can shift from speaking emotionally to speaking strategically. You begin to take ownership of your internal state, and that ownership brings confidence to your voice. People don't just hear what you say, they sense the conviction and calm behind your words. Another key aspect is empathy. Empathy is not about agreeing with everyone or softening your message to avoid discomfort. It's about seeing the world through someone else's eyes. When you speak with empathy, you build a bridge between your ideas and the listener's heart. You identify what they feel, what they fear, and what they value. You adjust your delivery to make your message easier to accept. This doesn't dilute your truth, it amplifies your influence, because people are more likely to follow someone who understands them than someone who tries to overpower them. Emotional intelligence also sharpens your listening. Listening is not a passive act, it's a deliberate discipline. Emotionally intelligent speakers listen to understand, not to reply. They pay attention to tone, pauses, body language, and emotion. They recognize when someone needs encouragement rather than advice, or silence instead of solution. This sensitivity to others' emotional needs transforms your communication from a monologue into a dialogue, and that's where the magic of connection happens. When you combine emotional intelligence with your message, you gain the power to influence without pressure, to persuade without force, and to lead without demanding. Your words become more than sounds. They become emotional experiences for your audience. Whether you are speaking to a single person or a crowded room, emotional intelligence enables you to adapt, relate, and inspire in ways that logic alone cannot achieve. Confidence is not about being the loudest person in the room. It's about having the clarity to say exactly what you mean in the simplest, strongest way. True confidence doesn't scream, it speaks with calm certainty. In the world of powerful communication, clarity is not just a technique, it is a reflection of inner strength. People often believe that to sound smart or be taken seriously, they must use complex words, long explanations, or impressive jargon. But this mindset often leads to confusion, not impact. The most respected communicators are those who can take complex ideas and express them in ways a child could understand. That's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of mastery. When you speak with clarity, you give your audience something they rarely experience in today's fast, noisy world: understanding. You make their mental load lighter, not heavier. You help them see what they couldn't see before, and as they begin to understand you, they begin to trust you. Trust is built not just by being right, but by being relatable. And relatability is built through clarity. You don't need to impress people with big words. You need to connect with them through honest, meaningful speech. Because when people understand you, they feel safe with you. And when they feel safe, they are far more likely to listen, engage, and follow. Clarity also requires preparation. Many people speak in circles because they haven't taken the time to think through what they want to say. They hope that as they talk, the message will somehow appear. But influential communicators plan their message before they speak it. They ask themselves, what is the one idea I want to leave behind? What do I want my listener to think, feel, or do after hearing me? With these questions in mind, they structure their message with purpose. They eliminate distractions. They speak to the point, and in doing so, they create a message that is both memorable and actionable. Confidence through clarity also means being unafraid of silence. Some of the most powerful speakers use pauses, not as nervous gaps, but as intentional moments that give weight to their words. Silence, when used correctly, creates anticipation. It allows your audience to reflect. It signals that you are in control, not just of your voice, but of the moment. People who ramble are often trying to fill the silence because they fear being misunderstood. But when you are clear about what you mean, you don't need to explain it 10 different ways. You speak once, and it lands. That is the quiet strength of clarity. Another part of this is stripping away the unnecessary. Powerful communication is not about adding more, it's about cutting out what doesn't serve your message. This discipline of simplicity is what gives your message strength. When your speech is full of fluff, your audience spends their time trying to find your point. But when you speak with economy and precision, your message hits like a laser. People respect those who value their time, and nothing shows that respect more than saying what needs to be said, clearly, confidently, and with purpose. It's also important to remember that clarity inspires confidence, not only in the speaker but in the listener. When you are clear, you help others feel more certain, more focused, and more empowered. Confused people don't take action. They hesitate, they doubt, they delay. But clear communication removes the fog. It gives direction. It provides answers. It fuels decisions. If you want to lead people, sell an idea, or move hearts, you must speak in a way that leaves no confusion, no double meanings, and no hesitation. Finally, confidence through clarity comes from knowing your message so well that it becomes part of you. You don't have to remember what to say. You simply express what you believe. Your speech becomes a natural extension of your thought, your values, and your vision. This alignment between your words and your inner conviction is what makes your communication magnetic. People feel the certainty in your voice. They sense the purpose behind your words, and they respond, not just with applause, but with action, because the clearest voices are often the most trusted voices. And the most trusted voices are the ones that change minds, open hearts, and shape the future.